By morning, the street looked ordinary. The rain had washed the blood into the gutters, a temporary cleansing stain on the city's concrete veins. The street lights, which had witnessed the chaos, hummed back to their usual indifferent rhythm. The police tape, that bright yellow barrier between normalcy and the night's events, was gone. Cars passed without slowing, their drivers lost in their own worlds, their own commutes, completely unaware of the space they were moving through. No one noticed the faint scrape marks etched into the concrete, like scars from a fight the city was already trying to forget. And no one questioned the shattered surveillance camera hanging uselessly above the intersection. Its single glass eye now blind. The city never does. It has a short memory for things it doesn't want to understand. Just after sunrise, a maintenance crew arrived. It was a subtle, almost surgical operation. Two men, an unmarked van. They worked with an efficiency that was more unsettling than professional. One climbed a ladder and replaced the streetlight bulb, even though the old one was still working. The other, more methodically, moved along the curb, collecting shell casings that no one had bothered to log into evidence. They moved in silence, a shared understanding passing between them that needed no words. Their job wasn't to clean up a mess. It was to erase a memory. Inside a nearby apartment building, a woman watched from behind the narrow gap of her half-closed blinds. She hesitated. How could she? The sounds from the night before were still echoing in her mind, a phantom symphony of violence. The sharp crack of gunfire cutting through the night's quiet, the raw, terrified screams that followed, and then the unmistakable sound of steel hitting pavement, a sound that didn't belong in this modern urban landscape. She had seen the darkness itself seem to swallow the street, a living, breathing entity. And then, when she blinked, it was all gone. Just a normal street, under the forgiving glow of the morning sun. She tried to convince herself it was a dream, a nightmare conjured from stress or a late-night movie. It had to be, because when she turned on the news, there was nothing. No breaking story, no urgent bulletin. The local broadcast talked about traffic, a charity bake sale, the weather forecast. There were no suspects, no bodies, no incident. It was as if the entire event had been a collective hallucination, a secret shared only by her and the silent street. Around noon, a man in a dark, heavy coat crossed the street, moving against the flow of lunchtime pedestrians. He stopped precisely where it had happened, a place marked only in his memory. He just stood there, a statue of stillness in the bustling city. People flowed around him, their faces pinched with annoyance at the obstruction. He didn't seem to notice them. He bent down slowly, his eyes fixed on the ground, and picked something up. It was a button, black metal. He turned it over and over in his gloved fingers, a look of recognition, perhaps even nostalgia, on his face. It was familiar. A voice spoke from directly behind him, low and steady. "You're late." The man didn't flinch, didn't turn. He kept his gaze on the button. They survived longer than expected. He replied, his voice just as flat, just as controlled. A short pause hung in the air, thick with unspoken meaning. "Will they try again?" The voice behind him asked. He closed his hand, the metal but uncold against his palm, a small hard piece of the night's truth. "Yes," he said. Another pause, this one shorter, filled with a different kind of energy. "Good." The man straightened up, pocketed the button, and walked away, disappearing back into the city's anonymous crowd. From her window, the woman saw him go. She finally let the blinds fall completely closed, plunging her room into shadow. She had seen enough. The city could pretend, the news could lie, but she knew. That night she dreamed of swords flashing under the orange glow of streetlights. She dreamed of a woman smiling in the dark, a smile that was both beautiful and terrifying. She dreamed of footsteps that made no sound, that didn't echo on the pavement. And when she woke, the dream didn't fade away like most dreams do. It stayed with her, a vivid imprint on her soul, somewhere else in the city, far from that ordinary street. A blade was being cleaned, not rushed, not angrily. It was cleaned carefully, respectfully. The oil, the cloth, the practiced movements, it was a ritual, because the war hadn't ended last night. It hadn't been won or lost. It had simply moved. It went back into the shadows, into the quiet alleys and the forgotten corners of the city, waiting for the next time the darkness would swallow the street, and it would. It always does. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe for more tales from the hidden corners of the world. See you next time.